Welcome to the Behavior Code. In this episode, we'll explore the hidden psychological drivers behind overtalking, a common yet misunderstood behavior. Okay, Gabriel, let's paint a picture. You've been there, I've been there. I'm pretty sure everyone listening has been there.
Oh yeah, I know exactly where you're going with this. It's a scenario that plays out far too often, leaving us feeling unheard and disrespected.
You're in a conversation, maybe at a party, maybe at work, maybe even on a date, and one person just will not stop talking. They're just going and going, and you're just sort of nodding, looking for an exit. Their monologue swallowing all the conversational oxygen in the room.
The conversational steamroller, absolutely. You're trapped. You're doing the slow fade, kind of edging away, but they just follow you, still talking. It's a relentless verbal assault.
Exactly, and it makes you wonder, what's behind that? You see someone dominating a conversation, and the immediate thought might be, wow, they're so confident. But is it really confidence, or is it something deeper, a subtle cry for help masked in a torrent of words?
That's the real question, isn't it? Because often what presents as strength is actually masking a profound insecurity. And that's what we're diving into today, the psychology of people who talk too much and the surprising reasons behind this common behavior.
It's fascinating because people who talk too much often reveal way more about their inner state than they think they are. It's like a tell in a poker game. The constant stream of words is actually a signal, a desperate attempt to be seen and heard.
A signal of what, though? That's what we're going to break down, because understanding this isn't just about judging that person at the party. It's about understanding human behavior, our own included. And this behavior, it matters. It has real-world consequences, affecting relationships, careers, and even our own mental well-being.
Big time. I mean, think about it from a purely practical standpoint. First impressions. You meet someone new and they talk over you for 10 minutes straight. What's your gut reaction? Is it positive, or does it trigger a subtle sense of unease?
That they're not interested in me at all, that they're self-absorbed. It immediately puts up a wall. You're not building a connection, you're serving as an audience, and that just kills any chance of a genuine back and forth. It's a one-sided performance, not a conversation.
Serving as an audience, that's the perfect way to put it. And it erodes respect too, doesn't it? In a professional setting, if someone constantly dominates meetings, they might think they're showing leadership, but often the opposite happens. People tune them out, and their contributions lose impact.
They do, because true respect is earned by listening, by valuing other people's input. When you don't leave space for others, you're subconsciously telling them their perspective doesn't matter. And that's a quick way to lose the respect of your peers, creating a toxic work environment.
Right. And what about attraction on a personal level? Think about a first date where one person just monologues the entire time. Is that a recipe for a second date or a one-way ticket to being ghosted?
Deal breaker. It's a huge turnoff. Attraction is built on curiosity, on mystery, on feeling seen and understood. If someone talks nonstop, they're not creating any of that. They're just broadcasting. That leaves no room for chemistry to build, and the potential for a meaningful connection withers.
It's so true. It all comes down to this core idea we've talked about before, this paradox of power and communication. And I think it's one of the most important social dynamics to understand, especially in a world where everyone is clamoring to be heard.
Say it. It's the key line for this whole topic, the one that can transform our understanding of social influence.
The most powerful people, the most respected, the most influential people often speak the least. They listen more than they talk, absorbing information and making others feel valued. They understand that true power lies in silence and thoughtful contribution.
Exactly. So if that's the ideal, why do so many people do the exact opposite? Let's get into the root causes. What's the first one you see, Maria? What's the big driver behind overtalking? Let's peel back the layers and explore the hidden motivation.
I think the biggest one, and maybe the most misunderstood one, is anxiety. Pure and simple social anxiety. It's a powerful force that can turn a quiet individual into a nonstop talker.
Okay, break that down. How does anxiety lead to talking more? It feels counterintuitive. One would think anxiety would make someone more reserved. Let's delve into this paradox.
Well, for an anxious person, silence in a conversation is terrifying. It's an empty space where they feel like they're being judged. They think, oh no, it's quiet. They must think I'm boring. They're analyzing me. I have to say something, anything to break this tension. Their words become a shield against perceived scrutiny.
Okay, so the talking isn't about projecting confidence, it's a coping mechanism. It's about filling the void because the void feels dangerous. It's a form of self-soothing in a high-stakes social situation.
Precisely. Talking becomes a way to manage their own internal discomfort. They're not trying to dominate you, they're trying to stop their own brain from spiraling. They're throwing words into the silence to keep the wolves of self-doubt at bay, creating a wall of sound to protect themselves.
That makes so much sense. We've all seen it, the nervous rambler. Someone gets asked a simple question and suddenly they're telling you their life story. Jumping from topic to topic, their words tumbling out in a chaotic stream. They're lost in a labyrinth of their own making.
The rambling, it's a classic sign. Their speech speeds up, they're not really making a coherent point, they're just producing noise. It's like a verbal smokescreen. If I keep talking, you can't see how nervous I really am. It's a desperate attempt to obscure their vulnerability. I have a painfully clear memory of this from my first ever big job interview. I was so nervous, my heart was pounding. The interviewer asked me a simple question: tell me about a challenge you faced. And Gabriel, I just opened the floodgates.
And in that state, they're not even really present in the conversation, are they? They're stuck in their own head, reacting to their own fear. They're not reading your cues or noticing that your eyes have glazed over. They're trapped in a feedback loop of anxiety.
Not at all. The cognitive load of managing that anxiety is so high that there's no bandwidth left for social awareness. So the very thing they're doing to avoid being judged negatively is causing them to be judged negatively. It's a tragic feedback loop, a self-perpetuating cycle of social awkwardness.
Right. A self-fulfilling prophecy. They're afraid of being seen as awkward, so they talk nervously, which makes them come across as awkward. Wow, that reframes it with a lot more empathy. It transforms our judgment into compassion.
It really does. So next time you see someone doing that, instead of thinking arrogant, maybe the better first thought is anxious. But that's not the only reason people overtalk. There is another huge piece to this puzzle, one that delves even deeper into the human psyche.
Okay, what's root cause number 2? Let's continue our exploration of the hidden drivers behind overtalking.
It's closely related but distinct. It's a deep, profound need for validation, a hunger to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be affirmed.
So this isn't about filling silence to avoid fear. This is about what? Getting a response? Seeking external confirmation of their worth? Let's unpack this.
Exactly. For some people, talking is less a form of communication and more a form of asking a question over and over again. And that question is, am I okay? Do I matter? Do you see me? Their words are a desperate plea for recognition.
So every story, every opinion they share, it's like a bid for connection or a bid for affirmation, a constant search for external proof of their value.
And this is where you see a lot of oversharing. Someone you just met is telling you about their deepest traumas or their most incredible accomplishments. It feels unearned, like, whoa, this is a lot for a first conversation. It's a premature intimacy that can be off-putting.
Right, because they're trying to fast-track intimacy. They're putting all their cards on the table hoping you'll say, wow, you're so interesting, or wow, you're so strong. They're trying to get that validation hit, that fleeting moment of feeling worthy.
It's an external validation loop. Their sense of self-worth isn't stable internally, so they need to constantly get it from other people. And talking is their primary tool for that. The more they talk, the more chances they have of getting a nod, a wow, a sign that they exist and are valued. It's a fragile foundation for self-esteem. And it's not just about in-person interactions anymore. Social media has put this need for validation on steroids. Every post, every story, every comment is a little bid for that dopamine hit of likes and shares.
And if they don't get it, they just talk more. They up the ante. The stories get bigger, the emotions get more dramatic. It can be really exhausting to be on the receiving end of that. A constant performance for an audience of one.
Totally exhausting because you feel this pressure to constantly reassure them, to perform the role of the validating audience, and it prevents any real balanced connection from forming. The relationship becomes a one-way street of emotional support.
So we have anxiety, a fear of silence, and we have a need for validation, a hunger for affirmation. What's the third major cause? Because I feel like there's a category of people who aren't anxious or necessarily needy, but they still talk way too much. Let's dig deeper into this complex behavior.
Yes, this is the third one, and it's a biggie. A simple but profound lack of self-awareness. It's a blind spot that can have significant social consequences.
They just don't know they're doing it? It's an unconscious habit, a pattern they're not even aware of?
Basically, yeah. These are the people who genuinely cannot read social cues. They don't see the signs. They miss the fact that you're looking at your watch, that your eyes are scanning the room, that your body is turned away from them. They're oblivious to the subtle signals of disinterest.
The nonverbal signals just fly right past them. They're on their own broadcast frequency and they're not picking up any incoming signals. It's a one-way communication channel.
Exactly. There's a fundamental disconnect. In their mind, they are having a great, engaging conversation. They think, wow, this person is really listening to me. We're really connecting. They misinterpret someone's politeness or inability to interrupt for genuine engagement. It's a misinterpretation of social cues.
Exactly. It's the micro-expressions. The listener might be giving a tight-lipped, polite smile, but their eyes are screaming for help. Or they start doing the one foot out the door stance, angling their body towards the exit. They might even start fidgeting with their phone. These are all blaring signals that the conversation is one-sided, but the self-unaware talker just barrels right through them. That's a tricky one, because there's often no malice there. They're just socially uncalibrated. They might have grown up in an environment where they had to talk a lot to be heard, or they just never developed that crucial skill of conversational turn-taking. It's a developmental gap in their social skills.
That's a huge part of it. The rhythm of conversation, that natural give and take, is a learned skill. And if you don't learn it, you end up performing a monologue when you think you're in a dialogue. They leave the conversation feeling energized, while the other person leaves feeling drained, a victim of their verbal onslaught.
The conversational energy vampire. We all know one. They're not necessarily bad people, but they just suck the life out of a room because they don't know how to share the conversational space. They're social black holes.
And it's a shame, because often they have interesting things to say, but it gets lost because the delivery method is so overwhelming. Okay, so we have anxiety, validation seeking, and a lack of self-awareness. But there's a fourth one, and this one is a bit more strategic. This is where we enter the realm of power plays.
Ooh, okay, this is where it gets into power dynamics, isn't it? The fourth root cause, control and dominance, a deliberate strategy to manipulate and dominate.
Yep, sometimes talking isn't about fear or neediness, it's a tool. It's a way to consciously or subconsciously control the conversation, and by extension, the people in it. It's a subtle form of coercion.
How so? Let's explore the mechanics of this power play. How does talking become a weapon of control?
If you're the one doing all the talking, you get to set the agenda. You decide what topics are discussed. You can steer the conversation away from things you don't want to talk about and toward things that make you look good. You hold the floor, and in doing so, you control the narrative.
It's a filibuster. You talk so much that no one else can get a word in, so your viewpoint becomes the only viewpoint. It's a power play. We see this in boardrooms all the time, where the loudest voice often wins regardless of the merits of their argument.
Absolutely. The person who talks the most is often perceived as the leader, even if their ideas aren't the best. They just take up the most auditory space, which creates an illusion of authority. It's a form of social dominance through verbal aggression.
But that brings us back to that paradox we mentioned earlier. This is where it gets really interesting, because while talking can create an illusion of power, it's not true power. It's a fragile facade that can crumble under the weight of its own emptiness.
No, it's not. The paradox is that true power, true authority, comes from restraint. It comes from the ability to hold back, to listen, and to only speak when you have something meaningful to add. It's the quiet confidence of the true leader.
The person who can sit silently in a chaotic meeting, listen to everyone, and then say one perfectly timed sentence that changes the direction of the entire meeting, that person has the real power. Their words have weight because they are chosen carefully.
That's it. So the person who uses talking as a tool for control is actually playing a short-term game. They might win the conversation, but they lose respect in the long run. They sacrifice long-term influence for short-term dominance.
So those are the four big drivers: anxiety, validation, lack of self-awareness, and control. It really covers the spectrum. So let's flip the perspective. We've talked about why people do it. How do we, as the listeners, actually perceive them? What's the impact on us and on the relationship? Let's explore the consequences.
This is crucial because even if the talker's intention is harmless, say they're just anxious, the perception can be quite negative. The first hit is usually to trustworthiness. It's a subtle erosion of confidence in the person's character.
Interesting. Why less trustworthy? Let's unpack this connection between over-talking and perceived dishonesty.
Because listening builds trust. When someone listens to you, they're signaling that they value you. When they talk over you, they're signaling that they only value themselves. It makes you instinctively feel like they're only in it for themselves, so you're less likely to trust them with important information or feelings. It's a betrayal of the social contract.
That makes sense. And there's also a perception, fair or not, that they are less intelligent. Their constant talking can be interpreted as a lack of intellectual depth.
Yeah, which is a total paradox, because they might be brilliant. But the old saying holds true. It's better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. When you talk constantly, you inevitably say foolish things. Wise people are economical with their words, choosing them with precision and care.
They give their words more weight by using them less. The overtalker devalues their own currency. And the biggest perception, of course, is that they're just plain self-centered. It's a label that's hard to shake off.
That's the one that sticks. No matter the root cause, the behavior reads as narcissistic to the outside world. It all boils down to a quote I love, often attributed to Maya Angelou. It's a powerful reminder of the lasting impact of our words and actions.
I think I know the one you mean. It's a timeless piece of wisdom that speaks to the heart of human connection.
People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And overtalkers make people feel invisible.
That's it. And an overtalker makes people feel unheard, unseen, and unimportant. And that feeling lingers long after their words have faded, leaving a scar on the relationship. It's a profound violation of social connection.
So true. So let's contrast this. We've painted a clear picture of the overtalker. What do confident, high-status, well-adjusted people do differently? What's the other side of the coin? Let's explore the habits of effective communicators.
They do the opposite of everything we've just described. First and foremost, they are comfortable with silence. They don't rush to fill every gap. They pause. Before they answer a question, they might take a second. That pause does two things. It makes them seem more thoughtful, and it draws the listener in. It creates a sense of anticipation.
Right, the pause is powerful. It adds weight to what comes next. What else? What other strategies do they employ to create meaningful connections?
They ask questions, genuinely curious questions. An overtalker tells. A great conversationalist asks. What do you think about that? How did that affect you? Tell me more about. They turn the spotlight on the other person, making them feel valued and interesting. It's a simple yet profound shift in focus.
which ironically makes people more interested in them. When you make someone feel fascinating, they walk away thinking you are fascinating. It's a beautiful paradox of social interaction.
It's the greatest conversational magic trick there is. And finally, they use silence strategically. They let others talk. They absorb information. They process. They understand that you learn nothing while you're talking. Silence becomes a tool for gathering intelligence and building rapport.
There's a great line about this. I think it's from Robert Greene that just sums it all up. Silence creates authority. When you speak less, your words have more impact. Your presence feels more solid. You become a person of substance.
Absolutely. So, this brings us to the hard part, the self reflection. How can someone listening right now figure out if, maybe just maybe, they tend to be the one who talks too much? What are the telltale signs they should look for? Let's provide some practical guidance.
Okay, so let's do a little self-awareness check. And this is completely non-judgmental. This is just about observation. First sign. Do you frequently interrupt people? Do you find yourself finishing their sentences or jumping in with your own story before they're done with theirs? It's a subtle but significant indicator.
That's a big one. Even if it comes from a place of excitement, it's still taking over the conversational space. It's a violation of conversational boundaries.
Second sign, do you overshare? After a conversation with someone new, do you ever walk away and think, ooh, I probably shouldn't have told them all of that? That can be a sign you're talking to fill space or seek validation. It's a form of emotional dumping that can be overwhelming for the other person.
The vulnerability hangover. Yeah, that feeling of regret after revealing too much too soon. It's a sign of poor emotional regulation.
And a third one, notice your body. Do you talk faster when you're nervous? Do you find yourself physically leaning in and dominating the space while you speak? Pay attention to those physical cues. Your body language can speak volumes.
And the goal here isn't to beat yourself up, it's just to gather data. The simple act of noticing is the first and most important step to changing a behavior you want to change. Be gentle with yourself and approach this with a spirit of curiosity. It's a journey of self-discovery.
Exactly. This is about empowerment, not shame. It's about taking control of your communication style and building more meaningful connections. Knowledge is power.
So, as we wrap up, what's the one simple takeaway? The one thing people can try today? Let's offer a practical, actionable step for our listeners.
It's an experiment, a simple one. The next time you're in a conversation, any conversation, just try saying a little less. Try to extend the pause before you speak by just 1 second. Try to ask one more question than you normally would. See what happens. Observe the subtle shifts in the dynamic.
Focus on listening not just to reply, but to understand. That's a game changer. It's the difference between a monologue and a dialogue, a performance and a connection.
It really is. And we'd love to hear from you all on this. It's such a universal experience. Do you notice this pattern in others? Or if you're feeling brave, do you recognize it in yourself? Let us know in the comments or on our socials. Your stories can help others on their own journey of self-discovery.
And if you found this breakdown valuable and you want more deep dives into the psychology behind everyday human behavior, make sure you subscribe to the Behavior Code wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you in the next episode, where we'll continue to unravel the mysteries of the human mind. Until then, remember to listen more than you speak.